Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech World. Today I'm reviewing a phone that it's close to my heart. My first iPhone with a cell phone plan, and that was the iPhone XR. Every iPhone I'd owned before that didn't actually have a cell phone plan. The first phone I had with a cell phone plan was a Samsung phone, and it sucked. So this was the first phone I had a phone number with attached to it. It made me feel like, oh, I actually have a phone that's cool, because whatever Samsung phone I had sucked. Definitely not gonna review that because it was that bad. So it holds a special place in my heart. When I first owned the XR, it was August of 2019, a month before the iPhone 11s came out. Kind of a stupid decision, but I still love the phone even after the 11s came out. I honestly thought the 11s were ugly at first with their cameras and stuff. So I love the XR for the whole 2 years that I owned it for. So I know a lot about this phone because this phone I actually owned for a little bit. I don't have my personal one anymore. It was a blue one. It was perfect. I loved that phone. For the time, it was my favorite phone I've ever had up to that point. We don't own that phone anymore because I upgraded to the XS Max 2 years later, and my sister also upgraded to a XS, but she used my phone to trade it into Amazon so that she could get a discount to get the iPhone XS, where me, I just got the XS from my dad for free. We still had, and my sister Addie also had an iPhone XR. It was yellow, but it was cracked and everything. That's why she couldn't turn hers in, because it wouldn't be any money to Amazon. So we actually still have that iPhone XR. That's the one I'll be reviewing today, is that yellow one. I'm so sad my blue one is gone, but the yellow one still works. The back glass is shattered a little bit, so that kind of ruins the design, but like, hey, if you're buying a brand new one, it looks like a premium phone. The glass and the aluminum, it is still pretty new. Just mine just happens to be cracked because that's how stupid my sister and now my younger brother actually owns that phone. So besides the back glass, it's perfectly fine. The display is great. The screen protector is kind of funky. It was an LCD display and everyone complained about it at the time, but I still think it looks great even in 2024. Maybe that's because I use an iPhone 8 as my backup phone and I have no complaints with that, and it's the same pixel density. It was the first time that they actually had a 6.1 inch iPhone, and they've had a 6.1 inch iPhone ever since the iPhone XR. They're finally gonna change that this fall with a 6.3 inch display, but I think that's just eventually it's just gonna get too big. I think 6.1 inches was totally fine at the time. That's why I went to the smaller iPhone 14 Pro, because I like the 6.1 inch size so much. I didn't like the 6.5 inch XS Max that I had before. So I think this display is pretty solid in 2024. Battery life on the other hand is probably gonna be worse. Now it's 6 years old now. I'm sure the phone battery life is gonna be, and then also, especially if it's old, you don't know how much people have used it. And then if you want to spend more money to upgrade the battery, it might not be worth it. So unless the battery health just happens to be good and no one's touched it for years, maybe the iPhone XR would be fine. The bottom, you got your speakers, and there's a lightning port. On the back, you got just one camera, but it's the exact same camera as was in the iPhone XS, just the regular wide camera. It was the exact same as the XS. They bragged about that. Didn't have a telephoto. Ultra wide didn't exist back then, but the zoom I never thought was a problem. Looking back now, when I had that phone, I didn't really care about zooming because you could just do pinch to zoom. I actually did care about missing the ultra wide, and then that's what made me grow on to liking the iPhone 11. I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool phone. The cameras are kind of weird looking, but ultra wide is better than telephoto actually a little bit. So I actually found a hack that when you do a panorama just for a small area, it gets a wider view, but so it's like an ultra wide for the iPhone XR. It's just using the panoramic feature. So I use that a lot when I went to Moab, stuff like that. But besides that, you got portrait mode on the front and back cameras, but only for humans. With the iPhone 11s, they did make it do pets and objects and stuff like that. I never ran into a situation where I wanted to do that. I didn't really use portrait mode back then. I could see why some people would want that. The portrait mode feature is pretty cool. And then obviously on the front, you got the front camera, which was 7 megapixels, but it was still Face ID and everything, so it could do portrait mode. They brought that with the iPhone 10 just the previous year. Other things that are nice on the phone is it's got wireless charging. It's still got a SIM card slot unlike the newer phones if you need that. It was the first phone to get rid of 3D touch, so it's haptic touch, but that's basically all other iPhones since then. The XS is going to be the last phone with 3D touch if you care about that, but I think personally the XS is worse in 2024 than the iPhone XR is, just because the XR has better battery life. Basically kind of newer because of haptic touch and things like that. Apple even sold that phone for even longer than the iPhone XS, so it's probably not going to go into the vintage products tab for a couple years after the XS, I'm sure. But besides that, I do think the iPhone XR is great in 2024. If you can get a really good deal on it, then I see no reason why not to buy it. I'm sure I guarantee you it's getting iOS 18, so that's at least until summer of next year that you're going to lose updates, and then they still got their bug fix updates. And I would not be surprised if it gets iOS 19, just because of Google and Samsung being like, we're getting 7 years of updates. I wouldn't be surprised if Apple's like, just give iOS 19 to the iPhone XR. Wouldn't be surprised. I can guarantee you that you'll be fine with the iPhone XR at least until next summer. And I mean, by then, you know, I'm sure some other, like an iPhone 11, iPhone 12s will be even cheaper. And you know, iPhone 12's got the OLED display, 5G. And so eventually, I think the XR is a perfect phone if you don't mind just waiting a year or 2 years and then upgrading again to a better phone. Has it held up as some other phones? Probably not. The iPhone 11, you know, it's got the ultra wide, better waterproofing, slow fees, got so many other features on the iPhone 11s, but the iPhone XR is a little bit cheaper. Here's my thoughts on iPhone XR in 24. I think it is a great phone, personally. I still love the phone when I used it. It started a whole chain reaction because now we have colorful base model iPhones now, and I really hope Apple brings back the blue iPhone XR. The iPhone 14's blue was not it. The Sierra blue, ooh. If I could have gotten Sierra Blue 13 Pro, I would have. I'm just gonna keep rambling about colors because I just love the color blue. Anyway, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and peace out.